In this week's show, we talk about the 24 Hours of Daytona. We'll also ask the question, is there a need for club racing organizations in the United States to offer driver development programs for their younger drivers? And we'll finish the show up with the impressive car count in the Continental Series. Welcome to the Insider Report. Welcome to this week's episode of The Insiders. I'm Errol Tucker in Baltimore, Maryland, and joining me on this ride down in Cocoa Beach, Florida, Peter Keene, and out in Los Angeles, California, Bill Wood. How you doing, gentlemen?
Excellent.
Wonderful, wonderful. Cocoa Beach, Florida, that's got to be Rolex country,
exactly.
Right?
80 degrees, Chamber of Commerce outside.
And it's probably going to be a beautiful one this week for the starting of some of the festivities for the 24th.
It looks excellent. Honestly, the weather, I think, is like, high 70s during the day and high 50s at night. So, I mean, I don't think you can get any better weather for the 24 Hours of Daytona.
In fact, this week I was talking to Lucas Luhr, who is one of the great race drivers, sports car drivers in the world, going to be on the Star Works team in the Rolex 24. He said he's thinking of moving to the United States because he's going to be doing so much racing here. He was driving around in Miami, and he said he much preferred driving in Miami in shorts and a T-shirt to suffering the snow in where he normally lives in Germany. So he is on the same wavelength with you there, Peter.
Who wouldn't love it? So, gentlemen, what do we have going on for the 24? Obviously, a lot of stuff happening. Peter, how are you guys over at the Spirit of Daytona preparing?
Everything's going on. I've talked to the boys several times. We're just building spares. You know how that goes. I think we got 3 sets of body work and just putting together the biggest spare package that you can. I mean, and Bill can comment. I heard his interview the other night when he talked to Scott Pruitt. That was one of the problems that Riley had, is they just didn't have any spares. So Spirit of Daytona is in really good shape with, the spares package. We're ready to go with the new Corvette. And tomorrow we have our team meeting. We do all the pit stop practices all day tomorrow, and then do driver changes and team meetings, do the strategy, do the spotters meeting. And then tomorrow night we're all going to dinner, and because it'll be our last sane dinner until probably Monday. So, I mean, people call this the 24 Hours of Daytona, and really for a team it starts on Wednesday and it ends Monday. So, I mean, it's nonstop. And
Gotcha.
Especially if you have an incident or break something, then, it can be grueling.
Right.
Yeah, the Brumos people, excuse me, Hurley Haywood told me the other day that they started kind of the same thing. They're having team meetings and dinners, and they won't show up until Wednesday night at Daytona, but they'll be doing festivities all week long. Some of it is promotional stuff with the Brumos car dealerships, but the rest of it is team things and people, I guess, kind of the bonding stuff to get ready. Some of these people haven't seen each other for, a year or so, and they're getting back together. Haywood, of course, is a 5-time winner at the Rolex 24, and Scott Pruitt has won 4. He gets a chance to go after a 5th this year. Haywood is going to be in the Brumos car that won the Rolex GT last year, but that car's not going to win the overall. Right. But it's going to be a good race, even beyond the 50th anniversary. And I always say that this is more than racing. It's a chance for guys from IndyCar, from NASCAR, from sports car racing around the world to be a part of, to get together and be with guys that they used to race with when they were growing up and going to race in Europe. It's a phenomenal weekend.
And I agree. And one other point I should make, that's the one race that we don't use, our primary crew. I mean, our primary crew, of course, is there, but you got to have them substitutes so that keep guys fresh and, our crew guys can get a break. So, we bring in a whole additional set of crew guys, and then, so you got a bunch of new guys that are helping out, you definitely still have your primary guys, but you got to keep them fresh. So we'll go all through those procedures tomorrow as well. So I agree with you. I mean, this is the calm before the storm. I guess tomorrow starts it, and then it's game on from then on out.
Let me say something too, because this is kind of of importance. It's a little bit of the hard edge to this. When Grand Am started, Hurley Haywood and the late Bob Snodgrass literally drew up the first DP cars on a napkin. They wanted to keep factory involvement at a minimum. That's changed this year. To meet the new rules, the Corvette, for example, has come in with the new body, and Riley's come in with the new chassis. Ford is thinking of bringing something in. And we could see that one of the best resource teams in all of the paddock, the Ganassi Racing and Pruitt, they're talking about using last year's car, because everything they have on the car is on the car. They've got no spares. Right. So you have to wonder, after a while, is the factory involvement still out of the sport? With Ferrari, Audi, Porsche, Porsche sends drivers in to run in the GT category. I mean, there's some real issues that are being raised here. In fact, we talk about it on a special podcast that I have on iTunes and on my website to toot my own horn here a little bit. But I think that's a big thing that you have to address. It's nice to have that factory money, but this conversation, in fact, was had the day that Peugeot said that they weren't going to race in sports cars anymore, that they were getting out of that business. Well, so there's some real crossroads here.
I agree with you at some point. Honestly, when the factories get in, they're going to escalate the cost some. But, I think Grand Am's done a great job of keeping it in the box. The NASCArization of sports car racing. They haven't gotten crazy. They haven't gone ALMS rules where, everything's one-off. It's still... You still are in the, in the Grand Am box, let's say, with the chassis and the bodywork or whatever. I think the biggest problem, and like you said on your interview, Scott Pruitt hit it right on the head, is, and I don't want to point fingers at Grand Am, I'm sure they were going through a lot, but Grand Am was just so late in announcing or approving the new bodyworks that guys just physically couldn't get it done. It's just, I guess it's a new understanding when you start doing a ground up, re-engineering of all the cars. It just took a long time. And honestly, that's part of our aero issue. Or all the Corvettes, and I know Riley's had it too with this new bodywork. We've had some aero issues that we had to work through. So it'll be interesting to see how they last.
And let me ask, and you bring up a good point, Bill, but with the economy being what it is, and teams having a hard time to meet budget, being able to have that factory support and manufacturer support, that probably gives them some ease and helps keep the car count up as well.
Well, then you have to find where that line is. I think they've moved it. They were very successful in keeping it to the engines and approving the engines and keeping the engines prototype or production-based engines. But they moved the line this year with the new rules.
If you remember in the beginning of DP, you had to actually run the headlight and taillight decals of the car you were supposed to be as a DP car, as your prototype, which was ridiculous. Yeah. And they were hard asses about that for a while, and then it just kind of got really, too generic. They kind of let us run any stickers or whatever for headlights and taillights. And, so I think they did move the bar, trying to give brand recognition to, the grills and the tail sections. But honestly, I think that's what the fans are calling for. That's what they're calling for in NASCAR. Look at the Nationwide Series cars. And I think it's a good thing. I still think you can keep them contained in the box, but give them a little character and some brand recognition. And let's go back to, cheering for Chevrolet and kicking the guys with the blue ovals on the rear end.
Yeah. Generally, I agree with you 1,000%, Peter. But there has to be, we have to figure out where that line is, because it's a short slide from the Corvette DP car to the ALMS Audi and Peugeot. And now that Peugeot has left the World Endurance Challenge, for example, there's some question raised about whether or not that is going to survive adequately, because they were depending on Peugeot money along with Audi money to make that work. And if it's not going to be there, where do we go?
Well, it sounds like it's going to continue to be a little bit of a moving target as things kind of get shaken out. And like I said, as the economy kind of continues to kind of shake out, in order to basically balance the checkbook for Grand Am, I think they're going to have to be creative. All right, guys, we're going to have to take a break here, and then when we come back, we'll talk about a topic that I wanted to bring up in reference to driver development here in the United States. We'll be right back.
Hey, Mario.
Hey, what do you got in this thing?
16 valve, 2.4 liter engine, 200 horsepower. Air conditioning.
32 valve, 3.5 liter engine, 650 horsepower, air conditioning.
Honda builds every Indycar engine. It's our commitment to racing and engineering. The same engineering that goes into the all-new Civic, the official vehicle of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Welcome back to The Insiders. So, gentlemen, you know, I've mentioned to both of you that I was over at the Autosport International show in the UK, and I came across a situation that I wanted to bring up and pose the question. So the MSA there, Motorsports Association, which is kind of their version or one of their versions of SCCA or NASA, a club kind of racing organization, they have this Motorsports Academy where they basically take young drivers and put them through a whole curriculum that involves not only, of course, on-track driver development, but it also includes nutrition, physical fitness, and then a very interesting portion that I thought was really good was they actually go through a whole program of how to handle the media. How do you make a presentation? How do you talk to the camera? How do you talk to someone who's interviewing you? And therefore, hand in hand, sponsorship development. How do you talk to sponsors? How do you talk in front of the camera to represent your sponsors, so on and so forth? And, you know, we had this conversation off camera, but I'll bring it up. You know, why don't we have, or do you know of an organization like that here in the United States? Well, I don't know that SCCA or NASA or anyone does anything like that.
First of all, let me say that I heard that Kurt Busch had a program to this effect that he was starting to.
I was going the same way, Bill. You son of a, you stole my whole deal there. Jesus.
Yeah, it's the Busch Brothers Racing School.
School of Media.
So what you're saying is the two of you are trying to gang up on me. All right, go ahead. I'm listening. Let me hear about Kurt Busch.
How about the way AJ Foyt does it? Maybe I went to the AJ Foyt School of Media Broadcasting or something. Oh my God.
Yeah, I heard that at least Kurt Busch was going to be a traveling professor at the MSA school in the UK during his off season, and after he leaves start and park programs in NASCAR, he might have a little more time on his hands. But in all honesty, I think it's a noble effort. But I think the one thing to say that at the club level here in the United States, our mindset's a bit different in the way we do business here. The clubs here are more membership oriented and are more competition oriented, and they're depending on if the driver wants to learn how to drive, get out there and figure it out. If you want to learn how to talk to the media, that's your problem.
And Tucker, I think you should explain more what they do for the program, so then when I can shoot holes in it. But I mean, explain to the Go Racing TV fans what really they do. Go through the whole program that you told us earlier, and then I'll comment. But
well, it seems that they basically have a whole program where they will take their young drivers that are up and coming and put them through basically a curriculum, as I said, of on-track experience, but what's even, classroom experience, but what even more is honed in on is the factor that, they go through the nutritional aspects of what you need to do in order to become physically fit to be a good driver. They go through a whole exercise regime of what drivers need, mental conditioning, and then also, what seems to be very important is that they go through a whole aspect of, as I said, media contact. So
and
that's something that
and that's all at the amateur level, and it starts out being voluntary or whatever. So I guess.
Totally at the amateur level.
All right, well, let me start out. When I started my career at SCCA in 1988 or whatever as a 23-year-old kid, all them old men wanted to do was make sure I didn't show up at the track. So I guess our media or our driver development, PR development stuff for the SCCA back in the early, the late 80s, early 90s was keep the young guys out. So I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I wanted to race my car, and if they were really grumpy to me, then I usually wanted to run in the back of them and knock them off the racetrack. But, honestly, I think SCCA has done some strides to try and help bring younger guys along. But no, we definitely don't have a program. Everybody I know is
there seems to be there's private organizations that do this. I believe maybe Skippy might do some things in that realm. Obviously, Jeremy Shaw, who's been part of Go Racing TV, he has a very good scholarship program, and he tries to go through some of those things. But I guess, what I'm talking about is that at the club level, similar to what they do there, why aren't we here embracing that type of driver development at the club level? Let me tell you a story.
A good friend of mine, Randy Popes, which we all know or whatever, when he got the Porsche deal, and he became the only at the time American driver to be a factory Porsche driver, they sent his skinny little ass over to Austria. And if there is a guy in America that's well-rounded and can do the media and kisses babies and whatever, he goes over there and the Austrians tell him, you are not fit. So I think the only way he could have been fit is if he was German or Austrian driving a Porsche. But anyway, so, there are programs they have, I guess when you get to the upper echelons, then, there are programs to try and make guys better. But,
And Porsche runs the same school.
Just nothing at our level, at the bottom level. I got you.
Porsche runs the same school. You certainly can't say that Patrick Long, for example, is not fit for the program. Right. I think it's just a mindset here in the United States that you make it on your own. The independence that we want to say is American is the independence that we want to say is American. And you get out there on Saturday night and you race Saturday afternoon. You go to the parking lot and learn autocross, and you make it on your own. Spend your own money and you do it. If you want to learn more, then you go pay the money to go to Jim Russell, Skip Barber, Bob Bondurant, and all the other schools that exist out there.
Well, that's a great example. One of the best race car drivers we got in this country, Tony Stewart's run open wheel sports cars, whatever. They obviously made it in Sprint Cup or whatever. But remember when Joe Gibbs put him on the diet? The fucker was running in the back. He didn't know what to do with himself. He got back to eating track food and everything. I think they might have to mandate a bigger window opening for him to crawl in the window, but he seems to be still doing fine.
So at the end of the day, I guess what I'm saying is that, the SCCA, NASA, these club organizations, they're there to serve the club community and their membership. And if you want to continue to grow, continue to have something to offer to members and continue to attract people to the sport, then you want to help the sport grow in itself. And I think that putting together programs like this, like they've did over in the UK in the MSA program, is something that helps you help yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, so, Mazda, one of the sponsors
Mazda
here.
is not Mazda does a great job with their ladder program, and they're to be commended, but they are not a racing club organization at the grassroots level.
They have programs at the PRI, for example. They had a seminar to teach people how to do things, how to utilize social media and build all that stuff and the importance of it for drivers.
You're right, Bill. You're right. And I'm saying, what about the club organizations themselves? What are they doing to help develop the drivers?
They're running fundraising programs for memberships.
Hey, I guess.
Got you.
I guess
right.
Tucker.
We got
Tucker,
it.
Hey, Tucker.
We're gonna get long in this one, fellas.
Send Jeff Danner a letter. Tell him you want to volunteer to be the European leader of SCCA. Driver development.
There we go.
There you go.
Actually, you know what? I was going to send him a letter to talk just about this whole issue. So
right,
I will do that. Thank you, Peter. All right, gentlemen, we're gonna take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about this magnificent car count that looks like is gonna be for the Continental Series this weekend. We'll be right back. The Club, an amateur racer. Here at Go Racing TV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs. Welcome back to The Insiders. So in this last segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the car count at the Continental tire race that's going to be happening during the big weekend. It looks like a ridiculous amount of cars out there, Peter.
Yeah, no, I was really shocked. I mean, the Continental Tire Series is definitely booming. I mean, there's 80 cars registered. I think there's 39 GS cars and 41 ST cars. The other thing is, if you look down through it, you know, the quality of the field's unbelievable. You know, there's like Ryan Dial and Lucas Lohr and Patrick Dempsey's in a Aston Martin Vantage. I mean, there's some cool cars and some cool driver combinations in this race. So, you know, my good buddy Eric Curran, you know, with Lawson Aschenbach. So, I mean, there's some quality drivers in that. You know, again, I guess the price of poker in that Continental Tire Series race has gone up, especially at Daytona.
Definitely.
And you know, so we want to talk about programs and so forth. The Continental Series is a chance for people to go learn and figure out rent seats. That's part of the business model there. But they have 80 cars there at the Snowdrift Rally that's coming up this weekend. There's like 70 cars entered. So there's no shortage of people who are interested in being a part of all forms of racing here in the United States. We just do it our way and let the FIA worry about itself.
So is that typical for that Snowdrift to have that many cars?
No. It's a new program that they have this year. There's some new energy. There's new ownership in Rally America. And there's a lot of promises that, you know, who knows if they're going to be kept, but, you know, people have a lot of, anticipation about what the good times are ahead.
Sounds good. Well, gentlemen, we kind of ran long on the first two segments, so you know we're all going to be looking forward to watching what happens this weekend down at Daytona. Peter, any last
I got two
words?
items. On a good note, I want to wish my good buddy Squeak Kennedy. If any of you guys know Squeak Kennedy, he's a little bit of a Daytona legend. I don't know what his specialty is, but anyway, Squeak's getting to drive for the first time with his son Bobby in the Continental Tire Series. So they're going to be in a GS Mustang, Gary Yeoman Ford sponsorship. So that's good. I mean, that's kind of a lifelong dream. Squeak's been running the 24 hours forever, and you know, just been always around Daytona racetrack or the 24-hour and road racing. So congratulations to them. A second on a sad note, we had one of Central Florida region's one of the longtime member, a guy that I raced with, Mark Larson, passed away last week just unexpectedly in his sleep at 51. And I mean, that's somebody that I raced with tooth and nail and, you know, my younger career, and, you know, definitely my brother did. So I'm off to his service here after we get done taping tonight. But, you know, that's a sad loss. His dad, Jerry's the region director here in Central Florida region, and his mom has always done corner working. So, I mean, they're a true SCCA family. So that's a unexpected loss. So my condolences go out to the Larson family.
Definitely, our thoughts and prayers go out for them. All right, gentlemen. I don't know about what you guys are going to do for the 24. I know what you're doing, Peter. I'm not sure what you're going to be doing, Bill, but I'm going to be sitting at the front of the TV with a brandy in one hand and a piece of birthday cake in the other, celebrating the 24 on my birthday at the same time.
And Tucker,
so.
I want to say on Twitter, you guys follow me on Twitter. It's Peter Keen, Peter Peter _ Keen. And on Twitter, so I'll tweet everything I can find, any hot broads, or maybe I'll even take a picture of 2 of them. So whatever we can send to you.
Sounds good, and then we'll try to retweet it also on Go Racing TV.
Excellent.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for participating, and folks out there, remember, as usual, you can always log in to Go Racing TV for all your video needs and articles in reference to club and grassroots racing. Thank you.